Savage Time, Part 1 and 2. Now, I only watched the first two so far. I know there's Part 3, and I want to have that to have its own video where I can talk about the whole first season. Uh, but, well, the title should give away who the villain is. I knew who the villain was going in. I didn't really. It's not like I knew I'd never seen these episodes before, but just the Savage Time and reading the quick plot description, Dictator, I was like, Vandal Savage. And lo and behold, it's Vandal Savage. Uh, this has it goes in that tiny, whiny, wibbly wobbly, big ball of stuff territory where Vandal Savage has affected the past by sending something back, but he's sending it back from his own, after he took over. But how could he have sent that thing back from when he already took over if it's one of those things that it kind of loops, but it's a time travel bit, and you just kind of go. I mean, I've watched enough. I love Back to the Future. I love Doctor Who. So time travel stuff, I can. Yeah, I can roll. I can roll. And once it hits World War II, which it's kind of interesting that they go back to World War II for the season one ender, because as most people know, the time of World War II, not necessarily all those years where that was brewing, and that was really the formative years of superheroes. That's where they came. I think the late 30s and into the 40s is when superheroes came into being as we understand them today. And they did have them, like there's the famous Captain America punching Hitler and things like that. So they were very involved in the war, and they were like have these things. So it makes sense. I mean, if there's one well that all of comicdom loves to go back to, it's World War II. It's like the last pure with huge quotation marks. You can sit there and dissect World War II 1,000 ways, and all these things. It never comes out quite as cut, and it never comes out as clean as we would like it. Now, I'm an American. I don't want to hear nobody going, well, you must think that were you clean? Were you pro-Nazi? No. For the 0.1% of person who would take that sentence and twist that to that, let's just put the kibosh right on that right there. John is not pro-Nazi. John hates Nazis because, well, Nazis suck. And they're evil and genocide and the whole thing. And okay, I feel like it's sad in this day and age that you still have to sometimes point that out, but I'd rather be safe than have someone watch this and get the wrong idea that all of a sudden I'm I'm pro Hitler. So anyways, they go back, and then it becomes like the DC greatest hits. I mean, they pulled out the golden oldies. Now, I was waiting for Sergeant Rock. Sergeant Rock is the one I know. Really, I mean, I have some Sergeant Rock stuff, some Joe Kubert stuff that he did later in life. I mean, I don't have that many stuff from like actual that time. Sergeant Rock stuff, and I think there was still stuff even post that was going on. But I know Sergeant Rock. I like Sergeant Rock. I like that it's kind of this weird ragtag group. It's kind of inclusive. I kind of like the idea of you gain a name there. That's your name there. Like they got Bulldozer and Wild Man and all these other things. Uh, and not only does it give you like the nifty little names for the superhero fans who like code names and all that good stuff, but the idea is that is who you are here in this battlefield. You're not, I'm not John Eckes. I'm fat guy or whatever. So when I go home, I can put that, on a shelf and go, that was that person. That was who I was then. I can go back to being me. I always connect with that. And I always like the ragtag kind of inclusive group of Sergeant Rock's team. So I was waiting for Sergeant Rock. And then I see first thing, I'm like, I see a guy in a suit. It's kind of, it's not all in silhouette. And I'm like, is it Sergeant Rock? Sergeant Rock? No, suits and blonde hair. Steve Trevor. They're gonna do Steve Trevor because they can't do that with the way they set it up, but with Wonder Woman up. But the whole crashing on Themyscira and the whole blah de blah, that was very World War II, and that was all back then, and it just clicked that it was Steve Trevor before I even saw him in Wonder Woman on the front. Steve Trevor. So I was like, I felt all really, really slick and really on the ball. And then they had the whole thing in him with Wonder Woman. I mean, I kind of get why they put them together as a couple, but some of the little things, it seems a little forced, a little quick. But given that, that they're on the time crunch, they have to move this forward as fast. And they do as good a job as they can, but after seeing especially the stuff with Lantern and Hawkgirl being more organic, this seems more kind of like, okay, let's get to the beat. I mean, they try to have the cute little scenes, and they kiss, and she digs it. So it works. I just wish they had more time. One thing they set up early on is that Lantern is low on juice. Yet he doesn't seem to want to try to conserve his power for much. I mean, he just keeps using it, He doesn't let other people take lead or try to save it. So when it runs out of juice, I'm kind of like, yeah, you big dummy. I understand you're wanting to help, but this is a finite resource on your finger. You have to save its uses. He's just using it full bore. Like, think. It's my same problem with Warworld is like, oh, I'm low on juice, so let's just keep using. Conserve your power. Use it wisely when there's only so much left. So he gets left behind. They're going, and they're like on the beach in Normandy, and they're all helping out, and then these flying group comes in, and I couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't place them. I was like, who the hell is this? Who the hell is this group? Oh, this is something new. I'll learn who these people are. And then I see the symbol, and it just doesn't register. And then they land, and they go, oh, we're the Blackhawks, and I go, you freaking idiot. I mean, you don't know much about the Blackhawks, but you know who the Blackhawks are, or at least Lady Blackhawk later. I mean, you big dummy. How did you got Steve Trevor before he even, was in full view pretty much. But you biffed the Blackhawks. So anyways, it goes back to Jon Stewart is stuck behind enemy lines, and he's getting blown up. I mean, they really blow him up. He should not be walking around as well as he is, considering the closeness of these explosions that he's having going on. I think they. I mean, if he still had ring juice and it was low, I could go with it. But guys, he's just a person. He should be he should be shredded chunks as close as you're having some of these explosions. Anyway, so he just kind of they look for the Justice League looks for him. Flash gives Hawkgirl a bad time, like, how dare you leave him? And you can tell that she feels really crappy about it, but that's what that's what they felt they had to do at the time. He goes back. He misses. It's one of those. If he would have stayed a second more, which I get tired of stuff like that. I'm like, oh, if he only would have stayed a second more, maybe they could have had him passed out down the river so he couldn't see or something. It's not always, oh, just a second more, and they would have came. It's done too much, and I wish it wasn't done here. But John's moping around, and he runs into Sergeant Rock and Easy Company. And I'm like, and the second, and you don't see Sergeant Rock away. You see Bulldozer, and I think it's Wildman. I'm pretty sure it's Wildman. They didn't put the feathers on him, which is kind of sad. It would have been cool, but yeah, it's Bulldozer and Wildman. And I pick them out right away. I'm like, yeah, okay, Sergeant Rock time, okay. So he falls in with Sergeant Rock and Easy, and Dozer doesn't trust him, so John kind of kicks his ass, going back to, is all proud to be a Marine and shit, as Marines are. Another reason I like Sergeant Rock is he's Army, and I don't know. Spent 7 years in the National Guard. I'm kind of partial to the Army. Yeah, they're going to be my team. So he falls in with them, and they're taking out bunkers and doing stuff. He's still not all the way trusted. Rock, is just like, hey, you can fight. Here's a gun. Do your job. As Sergeant Rock would be. He doesn't give a crap. They're trying. Martian Manhunter's captured, and they're having the whole thing. That's another one where I felt really clever. Is like, they have this interrogator go in. He's going to torture the crap out of him. Vandal Savage leaves him to torture the Manhunter, and it's all screen. You hear the Manhunter scream, really like, oh, and cuts back to there after a couple other scenes, and you just see the interrogator walk out, adjust his hat, and he says once says, "Don't let anybody in there till I get back," and walks off. And I'm like, that's Manhunter. And sure enough, it's the Manhunter, which I don't. And then he changes he goes a little way down, and he changes back into his Martian, his superhero form, which stay in your Nazi regalia. Don't. Why would you go back to the thing that makes you stand the hell out? I suppose so that people can remember who he is and keep connection to it. I mean, from following, we could to make sure the younger audience understands who that is. But from a story standpoint, it's really a stupid idea to do that. I'm running long, so let's see what else can I get out there. Well, no, it seemed kind of forced when they jumped through the vortex early on to go back to World War II. They meet the Batman who grew up in this future, shitty world. And Wonder Woman is the last one to jump, and she's looking at this version of Batman. And I know they're trying to build that relationship there. But once again, it doesn't seem nearly as well done as the Hawkgirl Green Lantern stuff. It seems just kind of forced. Anything I want to get through? No, I think I got the part 3 queued up right here. I'm going to watch it, come back, and do part 3. So I'll see you then.